Some Irish men's names don't just sound strong, they were built from words for battle, champions, valor, chariots, and even spears. And when you trace them back to Irish and Old Irish, you start realizing, these names weren't chosen to be cute. They were chosen to carry a reputation. So in this video, I'm giving you 10 Irish men's names with warrior meanings and real origins. Not random, baby name site vibes, but what the name is actually tied to in Irish language, tradition, and early history. And I'll say each name clearly, give you an easy pronunciation guide, explain the root meaning, then connect it to the warrior world that made the name famous. And as you listen, I want you to keep one question in your head: if your name literally meant battle, champion, or warrior, would you live differently? Alright, let's go. Number 1, Cathal. Pronounced Cathal, sometimes you'll hear it closer to Kahl, depending on the speaker. Cathal is one of the clearest, warrior, names on this list because it's tied directly to the Irish word for battle. The root, cath, means battle. And Cathal is traditionally interpreted as something like, strong in battle, battle mighty, or ruler in battle, depending on how the second part is explained in different traditions. But here's what matters. When you hear Cathal, you're hearing a name built to belong on a battlefield. It's the kind of name you'd expect to be shouted across a windy hillside while shields are clashing and someone is trying to hold the line. And when you look through Irish history, Cathal shows up again and again among kings and nobles, the kind of people who didn't just write poems about war, but led armies and defended territory. So even before you know the person, the name itself signals toughness. A man shaped by conflict, command, and survival. Number 2, Donnchadh. Pronounced roughly Duanaku, and that kh sound is that Gaelic throat sound, like a soft rasp, not a hard k. In English, you'll often see it anglicized as Donna, Dunna, or even linked to Duncan in Scotland. Donnchadh is another name with a direct battle element in it. The root Don is associated with brown or dark, and the name is commonly explained as a compound built with cath, meaning battle, giving a sense like dark warrior or brown battle one, depending on the interpretation. And I love this one because it feels like an old war standard, like a name you'd give to the kind of fighter who doesn't panic, doesn't run, and doesn't need to talk much. A calm, dangerous presence. The kind of man who looks like he's already survived what everyone else is afraid of. What makes Donnchadh feel even more warrior-coded is how deeply it's embedded in Gaelic naming across Ireland and Scotland. Names don't spread like that by accident. They spread because families keep repeating them, because they're proud of what the name represents. Number 3, Conall. Pronounced Kunl. Conall is built from Old Gaelic elements often explained as con, meaning hound or wolf, plus an element linked to valor or strength, giving meanings commonly rendered as strong wolf or wolf of valor. Now, why does that count as a warrior meaning? Because in the old Celtic imagination, the wolf and the hound are not cute animals. They're symbols of the war band. Loyal, fearless, fast, and ruthless when the moment comes. A wolf is a hunter and a survivor. A hound is trained, disciplined, and relentless. So a name like Conall isn't just saying, strong. It's saying, strong like the kind of creature you don't want tracking you through the dark. This is the kind of name that feels like it belongs to a protector, someone who defends the group, guards the boundary, and turns ferocious when threatened. Number 4, Niall. Pronounced Niall. Niall is one of those Irish names that carries warrior energy partly through meaning and partly through reputation. The meaning is often given as champion. And even when scholars debate older nuances, the cultural association of the name is undeniably tied to kingship, conquest, and power. And you can't talk about Niall without talking about Niall of the 9 hostages. Whether every detail is legend or history, the story itself reveals what the name represented: dominance, influence, the ability to force allegiance. The 9 hostages idea is basically an ancient power flex. Hostages weren't just prisoners. They were guarantees, leverage, proof that other groups feared you or had to negotiate with you. So when you name a boy Niall, you're echoing a name that became linked to high kingship and the kind of leadership that's not gentle. It's commanding. It's strategic. It's warrior leadership, the kind that shapes dynasties. Number 5, Cormac. Pronounced Cormac. Cormac is an ancient name with a very war-world origin. It's often explained with the meaning charioteer, sometimes paired with other interpretations like raven, depending on the etymology. And if you hear charioteer and you picture something fancy and ceremonial, reset that image. In ancient warfare, the chariot wasn't a parade float. It was speed, status, intimidation, and tactical advantage. Chariots were used to move elite fighters, to strike fast, to reposition, to show power. Being tied to chariot warfare suggests a name linked to the upper tier of combat, the kind of warrior who isn't just brave, but important. And the name Cormac is also strongly associated with legendary kings, especially Cormac mac Airt in Irish tradition, which adds another layer, warrior leadership mixed with law, rule, and authority. So Cormac carries the vibe of the warrior who becomes the ruler, the fighter who turns into the judge. Number 6, Brian. Pronounced Brian. Brian is one of the most famous Irish names on earth, but most people don't realize how old and how high-status warrior it is. The name is often connected to Old Irish roots meaning high or noble. And that's not just polite noble. In ancient societies, high usually meant power, and power was maintained through force, alliances, and the ability to defend. Brian is forever tied to Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland, a figure strongly associated with unifying rule and conflict in a violent era. Now, even when history gets complicated, and it always does, what matters for this video is the warrior, meaning the name carried socially, leadership from the top. The man at the center. The one whose decisions move armies and change borders. So Brian may not literally translate to warrior, but it absolutely translates to warrior class. Highborn leadership, strength, and command. Number 7, Fionn. Pronounced Fionn, sometimes Fin in English settings. The literal meaning of Fionn is tied to fair, white, or bright, often describing appearance, like fair hair or a bright, shining quality. So why is it on a warrior list? Because in Irish tradition, the name Fionn is inseparable from Fionn mac Cumhaill, the legendary leader of the Fianna, a band of warrior hunters. This is a name that became iconic through a warrior figure so famous that the name itself feels like it means hero. Fionn represents a specific Irish warrior archetype, not just strength, but skill, wisdom, and leadership. He's the warrior who thinks. The fighter who also becomes the strategist. The hunter-warrior with a code. So even though the literal root is fair or bright, the cultural meaning became legendary warrior leader. And in naming, cultural meaning matters. Because names don't live only in dictionaries. They live in stories. Number 8, Oscar, and here we need to be careful, because Oscar has multiple origin paths depending on whether you're talking Irish or Norse. In an Irish context, Oscar is tied to the name Oscar, commonly explained with elements like oas, linked to deer, and gar, sometimes linked to a spear or a kind of fierce energy. And in Irish mythology, Oscar is a warrior figure in the Fionn cycle. The kind of name you associate with combat and heroism, not softness. So even if part of the root looks like deer, that doesn't make it gentle. In the ancient world, the deer can represent speed, wildness, and untouchable agility. And if the second part leans toward spear, now you're firmly in warrior territory. Oscar is one of those names where the mythic association does a lot of work. It's the name of a fighter in the stories people repeated for generations. Number 9, Tadhg. Pronounced like Tyg, rhyming with tiger without the er. Tadhg is usually explained as meaning poet or philosopher. So why is it here? Because in Gaelic Ireland, the warrior world wasn't separated from the wisdom world. The poet wasn't just a guy with a pen. The poet was a keeper of memory, a voice of reputation, and sometimes a dangerous person to offend. Words could build kings or destroy them. And the Irish warrior ideal often included more than brute force. It included honor, identity, and the ability to lead people through meaning. A warrior culture runs on stories. It runs on status. It runs on what people believe about you. So Tadhg represents a different kind of warrior power, the weapon of intelligence, reputation, and legacy. The man who doesn't just fight, he defines what the fight means. And that's real strength, because battles end, but the story told about the battle can last 1,000 years. Number 10, Cian. Pronounced, K-E-Ian. Cian is a Gaelic name commonly explained as meaning ancient, and sometimes, enduring. And again, this is one of those names where the warrior meaning comes from what the word implies in a harsh world. In an age where life was uncertain, where raids happened, where winters were brutal, and where survival was not guaranteed, enduring isn't a soft meaning. It's a warrior meaning. Enduring means you outlasted. You didn't break. You didn't disappear. You stayed standing when others fell. Cian also shows up in Irish tradition and myth, which adds weight, because mythic names tend to become magnets for identity. They become names people choose when they want a child to carry something old, respected, and resilient. So Cian is like a quiet warrior name. Not loud, not flashy, just unbreakable. Now, let's do a quick recap, because I want these to stick. Cathal, battle strength. Donnchadh, a battle root name with that dark warrior energy. Conall, wolf or hound strength and valor. Niall, champion energy and kingly power. Cormac, charioteer, elite warrior status. Brian, high and noble leadership, warrior class. Fionn, bright name, legendary warrior leader in tradition. Oscar, warrior figure in Irish myth, spear and hero energy. Tadhg, poet-philosopher power inside a warrior culture. Cian, ancient endurance, survival strength. And here's a bonus that will help you spot warrior meanings in Irish names in general. If you ever see the root cath inside a name, you should immediately think battle. That's one of the most obvious warrior signals in Irish naming. If you see con, think hound, wolf, warband symbolism. It often points to strength, loyalty, and ferocity. And if a name is tied to legendary figures like the Fianna, even if the literal meaning is something like bright or fair, the cultural meaning can become warrior-coded over time, because the story reshapes how people hear the name. Now I want to hear from you. Which name on this list feels the most like a warrior to you, not just by meaning, but by sound? And which one would you actually choose for a son, a character, or even yourself? Drop it in the comments. And if you want part 2, I can do 10 Irish surnames with warrior or clan meanings, backed by real records. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who has an Irish name. Because there's a good chance their name is older, sharper, and more powerful than they ever realized. Sources, not part of narration, Ancestry.